If you clicked on this video, maybe it's because in some area of your life, you need to breathe again. Maybe your soul is tired, your dreams are bruised, your strength is at its limit, and yet, there is something inside of you that refuses to disappear. There is a thread of hope, even if very small, that keeps calling your name. And today, right here, right now, before anything else, I want to tell you, God brought you to this video for a reason. Nothing here is by chance. Asterisk, asterisk. Because when everything seems not to make sense, when things spin out of control, when life gets too heavy, that is exactly where God starts a new chapter. And before we continue, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, hit your like button so this message can reach more people, and turn on notifications, because here you'll find direction, faith, and answers that strengthen your journey. Now, let me ask you a profound question. What if the hope you thought you had lost didn't actually die? What if God is, right this moment, calling you again to rise up? If you're ready to find out, let's continue. Rise up, because hope was born. This phrase sounds beautiful, but it actually carries a deep spiritual weight. Because hope is not an empty feeling. Hope is not cheap optimism. Hope is a spiritual force, a movement from heaven inside a wounded heart. Hope doesn't come from nowhere. It is born when God decides to touch an area that seemed lost. And maybe in the last few days you felt exactly like this. Asterisk, struggling to continue. Asterisk, trying to understand why so many things have happened. Asterisk, wondering when relief will come. Asterisk, asking for answers that seem delayed. But today, in this video, we are going to walk together through something much bigger. The biblical and spiritual revelation that God always ignites hope exactly where everything seems dead. We will understand, asterisk, why hope fades and how it is rebuilt. Asterisk, why God allows seasons of silence. Asterisk, what the signs are that renewal has already begun. Asterisk, and how you can rise up, even when you feel you have no strength left. This video is for you who needs a sign, for you who prayed for direction, for you who needs to remember that the story is not over. Here you will find biblical answers, spiritual principles, powerful examples, and, at the end, an emotional climax that will reignite something inside of you. Because hope is not a patch. Hope is the breath of God saying, "Get up, I'm still here." Now, before we talk about rising up, we need to talk about something almost no one admits out loud. There are moments when hope simply falls asleep inside us. It doesn't disappear, it falls asleep. It becomes silent. It retreats. It loses color. And when that happens, everything seems heavier. You wake up tired. You look ahead, but don't see much. You try to pray, but the words seem to return empty. You try to believe, but your heart doesn't follow. And you start to think, has God forgotten me? It is in this territory of tiredness, this place of silence, this gray period of the soul, that God often begins the process of a rebirth. But before understanding how God ignites hope in us today, we need to look at the greatest story of spiritual rebirth in humanity, the birth of Jesus. Before Jesus was born, the people lived in darkness. Literally. The Bible says that before the arrival of the Messiah, the people, asterisk, lived oppressed by unjust governments, asterisk, carried a heavy, legalistic religion, asterisk, had no prophet speaking for over 400 years, asterisk, had no manifest presence, asterisk, had no clear direction, asterisk, had no comfort, asterisk, had no light. It was an era known as the silence between the testaments, a period where it seemed like heaven was closed. Israel waited, but nothing changed. And this is where most people fail to grasp a profound truth. When everything seems still, God is preparing the greatest movement. He is not absent. He is conceiving something. It was in this heavy, dark, and silent atmosphere that the angel appeared to Mary, and with one phrase, everything changed. The Holy One to be born will be called the Son of God. Luke 1 verse 35. And, from that instant, the hope of the world was being formed in a womb. Hashtag Jesus continues to be born in people today. After Jesus was born, life gained meaning, light, and direction. Where there was fear before, there was now comfort. Where there was a yoke before, there was now grace. Where there was darkness before, there was now light. Where there was confusion before, there was now purpose. The birth of Jesus didn't just change a religion, it changed the entire world. It changed the calendar. It changed cultures. It changed destinies. But more than that, Jesus continues to be born in people even today. Every time someone says, "I have no strength left," and yet decides to trust, Jesus is born there. Every time someone is broken, but decides not to give up, Jesus is born there. Every time someone looks at their own story and thinks, "I see no way out," but decides to take a step of faith, Jesus is born there. The birth of Christ is not a static event. It is a continuous spiritual reality. Just like before Jesus was born, maybe your life is in an intertestamental period, a space of waiting, a silent interval, a season where you pray, but God seems distant, where you try to move forward, but nothing moves, where you do everything right, but see no results. You look to the heavens, and it seems He doesn't answer, but the truth is, God's silence never means absence. It means construction. It means preparation. It means gestation. Asterisk asterisk. Just as He was preparing Mary, just as He was aligning Joseph, just as He was moving the Roman Empire, just as He was organizing everything so that Jesus would be born at the right time, He is moving things around you, things you don't see yet, things you don't understand yet, small things, yet essential. What you are calling delay, God is calling preparation. And here is the strongest truth of this segment. In the same way Jesus was born to the world, He wants to be born again within you today. Not as a baby, but as living hope, as renewal, as strength, as light, as meaning. Because as long as you try to live with your own strength, everything is heavy. But when Jesus is born within you, asterisk peace returns, asterisk direction ignites, asterisk answers appear, asterisk the heart breathes again, asterisk faith is rekindled, asterisk hope rises. Jesus doesn't just change circumstances, He changes people. He changes internal atmospheres. He changes the way we see, the way we feel, the way we deal with pain. Before Jesus, emptiness. After Jesus, purpose. Before, confusion. After, direction. Before, fear. After, courage. Before, darkness. After, light. Before, imprisonment. After, abundant life. Just as the birth of Christ transformed the world, the presence of Christ can transform your soul. You don't have to wait for a new year, a new phase, a new opportunity. Hope doesn't depend on a calendar. Hope is born when Jesus is born, and He is ready to be born within you now. Before we talk about the hope that was born, we need to go back in time for a moment. Not just to recall an old story, but to understand the weight of the silence, the waiting, and the pain that preceded the greatest divine intervention of all time. Because you only understand the value of light when you know the darkness. And before the birth of Jesus, the world experienced the deepest spiritual darkness ever recorded. And perhaps, pay attention to this, that is exactly the portrait of your soul today. Before Jesus was born, there was silence, and perhaps you are living in that silence now. The Bible records that before the birth of Christ, there was a period called the 400 years of silence. No prophet rose up, no vision, no new revelation, no thus says the Lord. A world that continued living, but living without direction. People waiting, but waiting without answers. Nations growing, but growing without peace. It was a heavy, almost suffocating silence. Silence that feels like abandonment. Silence that feels like delay. Silence that feels like, God won't speak to me. Perhaps you know this kind of silence. Perhaps you are going through it today. That moment when you pray and nothing changes. You fast, but you see no progress. You cry, but heaven seems closed. You look at life and think, is God still with me? Will He still do something? Is there hope for me? And it is precisely at this point that history repeats itself. When God seems silent, He is preparing something bigger than you imagine. The same thing that happened before the birth of Jesus is happening in your life today. Before Jesus was born, people lived oppressed, and maybe you understand that feeling. Israel was under Roman rule, burdens imposed by law, unjust taxes, the constant feeling of not having control over their own lives. It was like being alive, but not being free. And today, many people live like this, not under Rome, but under internal pressures, emotional pressure, financial pressure, pressure of expectations, pressure of fear, pressure of the future, pressure of not being enough. And deep down, these things become like invisible chains. Chains that no one sees, but that you feel every day. The people before Jesus asked, "How long will we live like this?" And perhaps you have asked the same question. How long will this phase last? How long will I feel trapped? How long will I live waiting for something that never comes? Before Christ, the world lived enslaved. And without realizing it, many people today live enslaved to thoughts, worries, guilt, and memories. But when Jesus is born, everything begins to change, and we will get to that part soon. Before Jesus was born, faith was based on effort, and perhaps you are tired of that effort too. The law was heavy, the sacrifices constant. The search for God depended on a huge list of rules, rituals, and obligations. People lived trying to please God, but always feeling it wasn't enough. Have you ever felt that way? Trying to be strong when inside you are weak. Trying to show faith when inside you are full of doubts. Trying to look good when your soul is collapsing. Trying to show you believe when you can barely continue. Before Jesus, faith was a burden. But after Jesus, it becomes a rest. Before Jesus, humanity lived in the promise but had never seen the promise fulfilled. For generations, people heard that a savior would come. But time passed, the empire changed, wars came and went, and nothing happened. The promise seemed distant, abstract, unreachable. Perhaps you are experiencing exactly this. You have promises, but no fulfillment. You have dreams, but no realization. You have faith, but no evidence. And you ask yourself, God, when will it happen? When will it be my turn? When will you move for me? Before Jesus was born, humanity experienced the same feeling. Promise without fulfillment, expectation without answer, hope without proof. But that only lasted until the moment heaven decided to interfere in history. Pay attention to this. God waited for the perfect time. Not the easiest time, not the fastest time, but the perfect time. And perhaps that is what is happening in your life now. You look and think, it doesn't make sense. It took too long. The pain got too great. The silence lasted too long. I don't believe anymore. But God looks and says, that is exactly why it is now. Because when the night is darkest, that's when the sunrise is closest. The birth of Jesus proved one thing forever. When God seems distant, he is closer than ever. When everything seems lost, he is about to rewrite the story. When everything seems like the end, he is preparing the beginning. The question of the video is, if hope was born, why do you still live as if it hasn't come? Hope is not a concept. It is not an emotion. It is not an inner strength. Hope is a person, and that person is called Jesus Christ. When we talk about Jesus, we are not just talking about a historical event. We are talking about a divine intervention that changes lives, destinies, and spiritual atmospheres. And that is exactly what happens after he is born into someone's story, and not just 2,000 years ago, but inside your life today. If before the people lived under a heavy yoke of rules, laws, and fear, after Jesus was born, everything changed. Asterisk hope ceased to be a distant promise and became a present reality. Asterisk fear gave way to courage. Asterisk the internal emptiness was filled with purpose. Asterisk pain found comfort and direction. Asterisk the impossible began to become possible. And it is precisely this transformation that we will talk about in this segment. Before Jesus, people lived in darkness. The darkness of oppression, doubt, fear, uncertainty. Today, he teaches us that light not only arrives, but also dissipates every shadow. Romans 13 verse 12 says, "The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light." The light of Christ is not abstract. It is tangible. It enters your mind, your heart, your story. It allows you to see what was previously hidden. Solutions, opportunities, open doors that you didn't perceive. This light doesn't arrive suddenly, like an ignited lamp. It emerges gradually as you choose to trust, even when everything around you screams there is no way out. Every act of faith, every prayer, every decision to wait for God's timing ignites the light within you. Before Jesus, people's faith was effort, trying, fear of making mistakes, fulfilling rules. Today, Jesus teaches us that true faith transforms the mind and heart. Romans 12 verse 2 says, "Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will." The mind that aligns with Him discovers discernment to make decisions, resilience to face obstacles, and serenity to deal with the unexpected. The heart that connects with Him discovers peace amidst the storm, joy even when everything seems dark, and strength when you feel you have nothing left to offer. Before worry, after confidence, before anxiety, after peace, before pain, after transformation. When Jesus is born into your life, hope is no longer abstract. It becomes personal and tangible. This hope manifests in several ways. Asterisk, you find strength to get up every day, even when tired. Asterisk, you discover that small daily victories build great changes. Asterisk, you realize that every difficulty is a step, not a wall. Asterisk, you begin to see opportunities where there were only closed doors before. Hope becomes a driving force that propels you, even when you feel that nothing more can be done. It reminds you that God continues to operate in secret, preparing everything for your good. It's not just about immediate solutions or miracles. It's about the presence. When everything seems lost, when the sea seems unwilling to part, the presence of Jesus guarantees that you are not alone. He holds your hand when you stumble. He whispers words of encouragement when no one else speaks. He guides your steps when you don't know where to go. He transforms tears into learning, pain into wisdom, waiting into preparation. And when you surrender everything to Him, something extraordinary happens. The impossible begins to become reality in your life. Before, people walked lost, without direction, without comfort. After, true faith brought purpose and renewal. Before, expectation was empty, promises seemed distant. After, every promise began to be fulfilled in an unexpected but perfect way. Before, there was fear, doubts, and discouragement. After, there is courage, faith, and unshakable hope. And this transformation doesn't just happen externally. It happens internally, in the mind, the heart, the soul. The transformation we are talking about is not automatic. It requires action. It requires surrender. It requires decision. Asterisk, trust in God's timing. He knows what you don't know. Asterisk, wait without complaining, without anxiety, without trying to force results. Asterisk, pray continuously, not just asking, but surrendering your life, your story, and your plans. Asterisk, observe the small changes that indicate God is working. Every detail matters. Asterisk, rise up even when it seems difficult, because hope was born within you. When you combine trust, waiting, and action aligned with God's will, something powerful happens. Hope ceases to be a concept and becomes a living, operative, and transformative reality. When we talk about hope, we are not talking about theory. We are talking about lives transformed by the presence of Jesus, in the same way He transformed the history of humanity. And this is what this segment reveals. Stories, examples, and practical applications that show us how to rise up, even when everything seems lost. Imagine the story of a city or community oppressed by difficulties, fear, and uncertainties. Before Jesus' intervention, the scenario is desolate. Broken families, people without prospects, children growing up without role models. This is the portrait of the before of our own soul sometimes. But the hope that is born with Jesus breaks invisible barriers. It enters where no one else can penetrate, into the darkest thoughts, the most painful memories, the places in the heart you thought could never be healed. When you allow him to enter, something miraculous happens. You find strength to face the impossible. Your mind is freed from negative patterns. Your heart begins to see opportunities that seemed non-existent before. The hope of Jesus is not passive. It motivates you to act, even when everything around you says it's not possible. The Bible is full of stories of people who, just like you, faced seemingly impossible situations, but rose up because they trusted in the hope that was born. Peter, who denied Jesus, rose up and became the rock of the church. Martha, who lost her brother Lazarus, experienced the resurrection and discovered that death does not have the final say. The widow of Zarephath, who had only a handful of flour and oil, trusted God's promise and was miraculously provided for. These stories show that hope doesn't prevent the problem, but transforms your relationship with it. It gives you the courage to continue, even when it seems impossible, and reminds you, the God who performed miracles then, performs miracles now. Now, let's talk about how you can bring this hope into your own life, applying principles that change hearts and destinies. Start by acknowledging your pain. Don't try to ignore the frustration, disappointment, or exhaustion. Recognizing your emotions is the first step for hope to act. Surrender control to God. The world tries to teach us that we need to control everything. But true freedom and growth come when we surrender what we cannot change. Embrace small daily victories. Hope doesn't arrive as a grandiose event. It grows with every step you take, every decision to trust, and every silent prayer you make. Renew your mind with the word. Romans 12 verse 2 reminds us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. When you internalize biblical truth, even thoughts of discouragement are replaced by faith and determination. Connect with people who strengthen your faith. The journey of hope doesn't have to be solitary. Friends, mentors, and spiritual leaders can help you see possibilities that you couldn't see alone. The hope that is born of Jesus also teaches us to face internal fears. Often, it's not the world outside that paralyzes us, but our own insecurities. Fears of failure, anxiety about the future, memories of past mistakes, uncertainty about relationships or decisions. Jesus doesn't promise there will be no storms, but he promises, I am with you. When you internalize this, even when the sea seems unwilling to part, you discover that you are not alone. Your faith becomes an anchor, and you find the courage to move forward, step by step. And here we come to the most powerful point in this segment. True hope is not just surviving difficulties, it is prospering through them. Imagine a scenario now. You faced losses, frustrations, nights of tears, and days without answers. You thought about giving up, but remembered God's promises. You rose up, even when everything said it wasn't worth it. In that moment, the transformation happens. What seemed impossible begins to become reality. Doors open, opportunities arise, and what was once pain is now learning. What was once discouragement is now strength. What was once fear is now courage. This is the essence of the theme. Rise up, because hope was born. It is not just a concept. It is an experience that changes everything in your life. Today, now, at this very moment. After rising up in the hope of Jesus, a new reality emerges. Life continues, but with a different perspective. Every challenge ceases to be a burden and becomes an opportunity for growth. You learn that God not only calms the storm, but also teaches you to sail through it. And the question you need to ask now is, will you continue to stand still, lamenting, or will you rise up and act in the faith that has already been born within you? Remember, hope does not wait for perfect conditions. It flourishes in the midst of pain, struggle, and uncertainty. We have reached the deepest moment of this video, the climax where hope is not just understood, but lived and felt in a transformative way. If we have spoken so far about the light that Jesus brings, the renewal of the heart, and how he allows us to rise up, this is where everything connects. You realize that nothing is in vain, that every tear, every struggle, every weight had a purpose and is about to flourish. Before Jesus is born into someone's story, the struggles seemed endless. Before he enters a person's heart, disappointments and pains may have seemed like dead-end bridges, seas that never part, paths that lead nowhere. But now, looking back, you realize something vital. Everything has a purpose. Every fall, every tear, every challenge was a step, preparing you for the greatness that is to come. And this is where hope becomes prophetic. It's not just believing that something good will come. It's knowing that God is already working behind the scenes, even when you can't see it. Isaiah 43 verse 19 reminds us, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." This promise teaches us that what seemed like a desert, empty or useless, is being transformed. God is preparing rivers of blessing, even where it seemed impossible. Now is the time for a decision. To truly rise up, not just out of obligation, but with faith and determination. You have already understood that hope was born within you. You have already felt the light and strength of Jesus. So the question arises, will you allow this hope to guide every step of your life? Rising up does not mean ignoring difficulties. It means facing them with a firm heart, eyes fixed on God, and a mind aligned with his will. Every fear you felt is now fuel for your faith. Every doubt is now an opportunity to practice trust. Every frustration is now a lesson to shape your character and vision. Before rising up in the hope of Jesus, * you felt alone in the midst of the storms. * the doors seemed closed. * God's promises seemed distant. After accepting hope, * you feel the constant presence of God, like an invisible hand supporting you. * opportunities arise in unexpected, but perfect forms. * your faith becomes action, and your action becomes testimony. This transformation is not just internal. It is visible in your attitudes, relationships, choices, and even the way you face life. Imagine now, a man standing on the bank of a turbulent river, afraid to cross. He closes his eyes and surrenders everything to God. Suddenly, the river parts, forming a safe path, illuminated by a golden light from the sky. Every step he takes is firm, every gesture is strengthened, and every breath is peace. This image symbolizes exactly what hope does. It opens paths where there seemed to be no way out, illuminates what was dark, and transforms fear into courage. Now, let's bring everything to your reality. Start the day with total surrender before any action. Surrender your plans, fears, and expectations to God. Recognize small victories. Every act of faith is a victory. Recognize and celebrate every step. Keep your heart open to signs. God speaks in various ways. Words, people, opportunities, dreams, and even challenges. Be attentive. Practice conscious perseverance. Rising up in hope means continuing even when there are no guarantees, trusting that God works in secret. Share your transformation. Hope is contagious. When you live out your faith, you inspire others to rise up too. The moment has come for a personal prophecy for every viewer. Where you feel everything is lost, God is operating behind the scenes. Where you feel there is no way out, he is opening invisible doors. Where you think you can't go on, he is strengthening your hand and your heart. As Matthew 17 verse 20 says, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, 'Move from here to there,' and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you." Every small grain of faith you plant today becomes a giant that moves mountains tomorrow. What you have learned so far is simple yet powerful. Hope does not wait for perfect conditions. It flourishes in the midst of pain, difficulties, and uncertainty. Jesus transforms your story, bringing light, courage, and renewal. You can rise up at any moment and experience the peace, strength, and victory he offers. And remember, in the end, everything will be worth it, because every struggle, lesson, and moment of waiting is being used by God for your complete transformation.